Let us understand the income tax implication of transfer of shares and redemption of mutual funds. To begin with, you have to pay taxes only if you sell shares or redeem mutual funds. So, suppose if you have purchased a share of ABC Limited at rupees 10 and after the end of the year it is being traded at rupees 50, you have to pay no taxes on that. But if you have sold the same share for 150 after 3 years, you will have to pay the relevant income taxes only in the year it is sold. So, this means if you have not transferred or sold any shares or redeemed any mutual funds during the year, you will have absolutely no tax liability. And the liability to pay arises only when you have transferred the asset. Now, in case of equity shares, there can be three different scenarios. First is the F&O trading, that is trading in futures and options. Now, this is regarded as a business activity and the taxable income is calculated by reducing all kinds of business expenses from profits. Such incomes are taxed at normal rates and losses are allowed to be carried forward for 8 years. This means if you have a loss of rupees 1 lakh while trading in futures and options, you can adjust it against the profits from business of future years. If next year also there are losses, then it can be adjusted against profit of the year next to that. And in total, it can be carried forward for up to 8 years. Day trading in shares is regarded as speculative transaction as delivery does not take place. Speculative profits are also taxed as business income at normal slab rates. The thing to be noted about speculative losses is that it can be carried forward for only 4 years and the losses can be adjusted only against speculative profits and not against profits of normal business. And now we will be dealing with the tax incidence when you transfer shares or mutual funds of the company and security transaction taxes paid. That is, you have long term or short term capital gains. These capital gains are calculated by reducing the cost of acquisition from sale consideration. So, if you have sold any shares for rupees 100 and you have acquired it for rupees 80, then your capital gain will be rupees 20. Now we will see the tax implication in case of sale of equity shares, equity oriented mutual funds and balanced funds where 65% or more corpus is invested in equity shares only. Now we know that the income tax on transfer of asset is termed as capital gains. Now these capital gains are taxed at different rates depending upon the period of holding of the asset. So the gains can be classified as long-term capital gain and short-term capital gain. In case of equity shares, equity-oriented mutual funds and balanced funds where 65% or more is invested in equity shares, if you held the asset for more than 12 months, then the gain arising from the transfer will be termed as short-term capital gain and it will be taxed at 15%. I repeat, if equity shares, equity oriented mutual funds and balanced funds where 65% or more is invested in equity shares is transferred during the year and the difference between the date of purchase and date of sale is less than 12 months, then it is classified as short-term capital gain and you have to pay taxes at the rate of 15%. And when these assets are held for more than 12 months, then the gains are classified as long-term capital gains and they are exempt up to rupees 1 lakh. And beyond that, they will be taxed at 10%. Before 2018, long-term capital gains on sale of these securities were exempt if security transaction tax was paid. So certain relief has been provided in the calculation of capital gains if assets were purchased before 31st January 2018. Coming on to the computation of tax liability of other assets like debt funds, gold funds, fund of funds, etc. If such asset is sold during the year, the long-term capital gain taxes will be applicable if the asset is held for 36 months or more. The long-term capital gains will be taxed at the rate of 20% along with the indexation benefit. And if the assets are held for lesser than 36 months, then the short term capital gains so arising will be taxed at slab rates only. Now, what is the benefit of indexation? Indexation is a special relief which is provided for the calculation of long term capital gains on various assets where the cost of acquiring the asset is adjusted with inflation, so that a taxpayer do not have to pay taxes on rise in the value of assets due to inflation. Now, here it should also be noted that the benefit of indexation was not available while calculating the long term capital gains in sale of equity shares, equity oriented mutual funds, and balance funds with more than 65% invested in equity. Now, what about SIPs? So, if you have invested in any mutual fund using SIPs, then every SIP will be treated as a separate investment, and period of holding for long term or short term calculation will be calculated accordingly. And what about the losses? If you have long term capital gains in some shares, say for rupees 1 lakh, and long term capital losses of 40,000 while redemption of some mutual funds, then this will be adjusted and you will have to pay taxes on long term capital gains of 60,000 only. So, long term capital losses can be adjusted against the long term capital gains, and similarly, short term capital losses can be adjusted against short term capital gains, and any unabsorbed capital gains can be carried forward to next 8 years. It should be noted that any loss while selling shares or redeeming mutual funds cannot be adjusted against your salary income or any other type of income, including the speculation profits. But short term capital losses can be adjusted against long term capital gains. This is one way of reducing your tax liability and maximizing your post tax returns. Now, this method is known as tax loss harvesting. In order to harvest losses, you need to sell off those shares in which you can book a loss. So, suppose if you have a long term capital gain of rupees 3 lakh, we already know that rupees 1 lakh is exempt and you have to pay taxes at the rate of 10% on remaining 2 lakhs. The tax on gains will be around 20,000 rupees. But suppose if you book losses of rupees say 80,000, the tax liability will reduce to rupees 12,000. So tax loss harvesting would not only help you to exit bad deals but also save taxes and hence maximize your wealth.